All right.
So unfortunately for the beginning of this video, I have to kind of dub over it. These are the flanges I had cut at work on the water jet. It's currently raining in the shop, and being that I have like an exposed metal roof, it is super loud. So we're cutting our intake tubes at 30 degrees, and that should give enough clearance for the intake manifold. And here, just trying to get everything loosely tacked together. This is the first iteration, so I don't know if it's going to work yet. But with that being said, it's definitely worth a shot. Now you can see here I'm welding out the inside because I want this to seal really well. And I can't weld all the way around on the outside because I'm not going to have the clearance for the holes. So welding out the inside is pretty much the best way to do it. And here in a second, you'll see me, I actually ground and polished the inside to make sure the air is nice and smooth. Might be kind of hard to see, but we're trying to polish this inside that I welded. Smooth out the airflow. Make sure we don't have any holes. Okay, well, we got this kind of roughed in. It's not perfect, but it's welded on the inside and then cleaned. Now we can't stick it all the way on yet because of these little tabs that are keeping it from warping, but if we get down here close, this is kind of what we're working with. So I think for the first one, I'm going to make kind of a rounded plenum that these all weld to, that this sets on top of. If it doesn't work, I have a bunch more of this stuff cut, so I can always make something different. But let's start on that. A little bit of cleanup, and I think that's going to be money. So I'm going to weld out these circles, and we'll build the rest of the plenum. All right, it's definitely not perfect, but we can move on to the next section. All right, I'm sure you can kind of see the vision. My only real concern, never mind the garbage welds, is fuel is going to be coming in right here. So I'm kind of worried about this cylinder and this cylinder getting a little starved. So I might even cut and kind of make some sort of like diverter plate or something. I mean, mind you, this is the first iteration. I think on the next one, because I'll probably build a second one, is I might make these come out and turn and make a smaller kind of plenum. But with that being said, I think looking at the bottom here, because I don't think any raw fuel is going to get down because it'll kind of sit on this lip. But I'm going to get this tacked together better. I'll build the sides, the back, and the bottom. I need to make a spacer for this so I can, get hardware in there. And I think I'll probably end up welding it to this first, all the way around it, and then weld it to the base probably before I put the rest of it on. So we'll work on that next. All right, well, here it is. No, it is not perfect. I'm sure you other welders will pick me apart in the comments, but we kind of ported this a little bit. I had to make a spacer for the TBI because the linkage on the side comes down so far. So this is the whole plenum. I cut my little tabs up here so we can fit it in there. Let's see if she fits. A little dark in here. Get the camera. Oh, look at that. It almost stays right in place. I'm kind of hoping that some of the heat from the exhaust manifold will help vaporize a little bit of the fuel in there. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a big fire hazard. It's just kind of... Well, I fell a little bit, but that's okay. Let's see if we can just kind of... Yeah! Alright, well, I need to make a gasket for this. Let's do that now. So I have never made a gasket before. I picked up some of this cork because I know cork is good for surfaces that may not be perfect. So we're gonna trace this. If you hear all the banging and stuff, people are getting a little excited for the 4th of July, even though it's it's not July even, actually. So if you hear that, I'm not going to apologize for people celebrating their freedom. I actually bought a Chinesium leather punch set for doing the holes. You see? Got the gasket traced out. Okay, there's the outside. Not too bad. Now we just got to cut out our inside holes. All right, just kind of double checking it here. And now we're going to take this X-Acto knife and we're cutting over aluminum. Mostly because that's what I have clamped here in my work vise. But it also should hopefully keep the razor blade from getting too dull too fast. You know, I could be doing this over wood or something, which would probably be a little bit better. Yeah, look at that. But, you know, once again, it's like 11 o'clock at night again, and I'm tired. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to get the EFI mounted, and then tomorrow morning I'm going to come out and start wiring the Aces and see if we can get it to fire up. I went online and was looking at different parts stores around me, and turns out nobody had this gasket. They had to order it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's a good time to just buy some gasket material and try this, because chances are any other gasket on this car, no one's gonna have it. I think for someone who's never made a gasket before, I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out. I think I might also do is I might put a little bit of silicone on there. Okay, now we got this. We're gonna put the bolts in the intake, and then we're gonna maybe tack this up a little bit with some gasket material. Gently place this gasket on here. Now for the bolts. This little tapered one goes in this end, and this tapered one goes in here. I wonder if I should, I'm not going to put any on here. We're just gonna risk it for the biscuit. And I got to find the right size. We're going to take this over to the car and start putting it on. Hopefully you'll be able to see, but It's probably more important that I can see. I thought I gave myself enough room, but it is very, very tight. Like I said, this is my first attempt at an intake manifold, and it was looking pretty good. I didn't put the Permatex on both sides of this gasket, or this first gasket would have been wrecked. Well, I'm gonna mess with this for a bit. I'm gonna shut the camera off because this might take me an hour, so talk to you soon. All right, got the manifold mounted. Now, one bad thing is I have to put the injectors back in because I wasn't able to find a good cover. So, at least not in a short period of time. We got the TBI in, and now we need to deal with the whole mess of wiring.